Back now on Triad Today, and our special guest just flew in his private Learjet into the garden. The jet's just, you can see it right here. We ought to make a fake jet sometime. It's just Kevin Baker, Executive Director, Piedmont Triad International Airport. Good to see you, sir.
You too, Jim.
No, he drove in like everybody else. But we're going to talk about flying. And let's talk about winter travel around the airport. Give us some tips on what we need to know.
Yeah, well, obviously we're in the cold time of the year. I'm not exactly sure what day this will air, but today it's cold clearly out there.
Right.
Around this time, obviously, you want to give yourself a little bit more time. You know, what I always tell people is the airport's going to be open. Our guys take an awful lot of pride in making sure that they're constantly on top of it, so you never get any kind of accumulation. They're constantly taking it off as it's accumulating. It's not like we wait until it's 5 inches deep and then go move it, you know. Very often I would say that the airport property is probably the clearest in terms of roads and parking lots and all that kind of sidewalks, et cetera, in the whole area. So, you know, if you can get to the airport safely, we're going to be open. There's no question about it. But I would tell everybody to make sure that you call your airline, because a lot of times we'll be open and operating, but the airlines will choose either because of what they've got going here or maybe because of a connection in another area where there might be weather. They're not operating.
Which you have, you know, you run the airport, but you have no control over what the airport. Oh, which brings me to this. Now, I want to sort of change gears for a second. I've been having experiences, great experiences with PTI for many, many years. But I assume you have complaints sometimes. The question, though, is, are those complaints relevant to you and the airport?
Yeah, well, you know, we own them all just because we want everybody to have the best experience that they possibly can. And certainly, you know, I think that most of our traveling public, especially those who use us all the time, would say that they love flying through the airport and have very little problems. But from time to time, there are issues. And some of the more frustrating things are those that are really out of our control. And in many ways, you have to look at the airport authority as sort of the manager of a mall or a commercial service, commercial property manager.
So like in a mall, if the shoe store decides not to open, you can't get mad at the mall manager because the shoe store manager didn't
Exactly. Exactly. What is in our sphere of responsibility, making sure the roads, the parking lots, the lighting, the buildings comfortable, all of those kinds of things. But, you know, the airlines sub out services, they call them under wing subs to companies that will be the folks who bring the airplane in, that unload the bags, that put the wheel chocks up. I can't tell you how many times that I've heard from people about, you know, with complaints about things like that, such as somebody sitting on an airplane saying, Kevin, they call me from the airplane seat saying, I've been sitting here for 30 minutes, I can see my gate, it's open, but there's not anybody there to bring us in. And they think that's us. And very often, very frustrating, we've had crew members on that airplane, pilots, other crew members, tell the folks on that airplane that this is because the airport's a small airport and they don't have the staff. And there's nothing more frustrating than that. But just know, I would tell, you know, all of your audience to know that, you know, our job is to manage that facility, and we don't touch an airplane, we don't touch a passenger for the most part.
Right. Oh man, I tell you. So you get thrown under the bus for everything, even though it's not your fault. But no, I always have good experiences at PTI too. Hey, look, let me shift gears before we run out of time. Since you're here at the first of the year, look back on 2024, look ahead to 2025. How do the airport do last year? What's coming up this year?
Yeah, I think last year was a sort of the last year in the rebuild after COVID. You know, we got back to basically normal, 2019 normal by the end of last year, and that's a good thing, and the numbers are continuing to grow in terms of passengers, and the more passengers we have, the more flight opportunities we'll have, et cetera. And then, you know, sort of on that economic development side, the big projects like Boom and Marshall and Honda and HAECO and Textron that we've had over the years, I think that there are big things. We're looking forward to some big things this year.
You're really helping in your position, not to brag on you too much here. I don't want it to go to your head, but I mean, you're really at the heart of a lot of these economic development projects, because a lot of it depends on transportation and space and availability. People that might want to operate out of the airport campus, as we talk about it, with HAECO and FedEx and some other people like that. Which we'll see some of those people on the show, I think, during the rest of this year, and sort of meet some of the folks that make up the airport campus. But I thank you for all you're doing there. And up on screen, you can go to flyfrompti.com for more information, flyfrompti.com. And remember what Kevin was saying about winter travel, call the airline, make sure that your flight is on time and all that. Don't call Kevin at home. Although, I guess I could give him your home phone. No, I won't do that. Kevin Baker, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jim.
We'll be right back.